Song Xining resented Zhou Tingyue's arrogance, silently vowing to make him bow down to her. She used every means to get close to him, only to be met with his humiliating words, "Does Lin Yu know you're playing both sides?" But when she turned around to marry someone else, he ruined her engagement banquet. Song Xining, even if you want to climb higher, you can only climb my branch. In the spacious and elegant banquet hall, crystal beads refracted dazzling lights, reflecting in Song Xining's eyes, causing her to feel slightly lost in thought. "I knew it, my daughter Nieshuang is sure to get the best man." A woman beside her, dressed in a wine-red velvet dress, with a proud expression on her face, said, "Look at this grandeur. This is just the engagement banquet, yet Lin Yu has prepared so meticulously. What about when you two get married?" Song Xining glanced at the ostentatious and tacky jewelry around Nieshuang's neck and ears, feeling a sense of annoyance. But when she saw the man walking towards her mother from behind, she immediately put on a gentle smile. "Ayu." The man was dressed in a smoke gray suit, with gentle and refined features. Even if you disregarded his noble background as one of the elites in Ningqing, he was truly a rare young talent. No wonder her usually materialistic mother was so delighted, and Song Xining herself couldn't help but feel proud. She gracefully linked her arm with Lin Yu's and walked into the hall filled with pearls and brilliance, truly entering the prestigious circle of Ningqing. Just as her silver high heels stepped into the spotlight, the melodious piano suddenly started playing. Song Xining subconsciously turned her head and, upon seeing the woman in a moon-white dress at the piano, her left hand holding Lin Yu's trembled lightly. The woman bore some resemblance to her, about 60% alike, but she was 90% similar to the woman in the photo tucked in Lin Yu's wallet.
"Qiao Ning."
She heard the man's voice choked up, and the next moment, her left hand was empty. Only then did Song Xining realize that it wasn't her hand trembling. And the man who was supposed to be her fiancé today was now tightly embracing the woman at the piano, looking fearful, as if afraid that the person in his arms would vanish if he loosened his grip even a little. Song Xining suddenly plummeted from the clouds, her hands and feet almost numb. All she could hear was the buzzing of gossip around her, as if everyone was mocking her embarrassment. Until someone gently held her hand. "Song Xining, why don't you understand?" Zhou Tingyue's low voice murmured in her ear. "Even if you want to climb higher, you can only cling to my branch." Song Xining's interest in Zhou Tingyue was actually impromptu. At that time, she had already caught Lin Yu's attention with her 60% resemblance to Baiwe, and he often attended concerts to listen to her performances, occasionally inviting her as his companion to social events. It was during the third social event she attended with Lin Yu that Song Xining met Zhou Tingyue. If the Zhou family and the Lin family were evenly matched in Ningqing, then Zhou Tingyue, the second son of the Zhou family, had always overshadowed Lin Yu, the only son of the Lin family. Fortunately, Lin Yu was gentle in nature and didn't care much about comparisons with others, so his relationship with Zhou Tingyue was not bad. It was the first time Song Xining had seen a man who could be so delicate yet completely devoid of femininity, so naturally, she couldn't help but take a few more glances. However, due to the almost idolized reputation of Zhou Tingyue in the outside world, coupled with his aloof demeanor, Song Xining, who was single-mindedly trying to climb to the top of Ningqing's social ladder, was very cautious not to provoke Zhou Tingyue. The problem arose that evening when her dress was a last-minute purchase and not quite fitting. As she went upstairs to the restroom, she accidentally stepped on her gown and stumbled forward. Coincidentally, someone was walking downstairs and, in her panic, she grabbed hold of the person's sleeve. But it seemed that the person had no intention of extending a helping hand and just stood there, watching as she inadvertently pulled off his cufflink and fell to the ground. With a disbelieving expression, Song Xining looked up, only to see Zhou Tingyue calmly looking at her, then extending his hand. "Are you okay?" His voice could even be considered gentle, as if he had no intention of deliberately not helping her. Song Xining could only apologize politely, saying she would compensate him for the cufflink, but she noticed a fleeting emotion in his eyes. By the time she wanted to discern it carefully, Zhou Tingyue had already adopted a polite yet distant expression, as if that fleeting emotion had been her imagination. It wasn't until she passed by the lounge again, On her way out of the restroom, inadvertently catching sight of the suit and shirt Zhou Tingyue had just been wearing all tossed into the trash can inside the room. Song Xining suddenly remembered what that fleeting emotion was. It was mockery. It was the contempt and mockery naturally revealed when a superior looks down on an ant. Song Xining turned to look at Zhou Tingyue downstairs, her eyes almost blazing with anger. Since he deemed himself superior and looked down on others, she was determined to catch his eye and make him bow down to her. In the following months, Zhou Tingyue would often encounter Song Xining at social gatherings. Unlike when they first met as Lin Yu's companion, she would now sit at the black piano, playing beautiful melodies with her slender fingers. With her fair complexion, petite and rounded nose, she looked serene and beautiful, especially elegant and dignified when playing the piano, truly the type Lin Yu favored. But Zhou Tingyue remained indifferent. He observed her every time she found various excuses to approach him, and when she didn't get the response she wanted, there was a hint of impatience and anxiety in her tone. She stood before him, eyes cast down, looking somewhat aggrieved. "Does Xiao Zhou dislike me?" Zhou Tingyue looked at her lowered long lashes with cold eyes, his voice gentle. "I don't dislike you." He just felt she was like a cat. He recalled the stray cat from his childhood, always meowing softly, rubbing its furry head against his palm, acting cute to beg for food. As a child, he had developed thoughts of adopting it while feeding it. He brought the little cat back to his yard, took care of it meticulously, and even had a small collar made for it. Tingyue's Mimi. The day he received the collar, Mimi disappeared. The woman who gave birth to him coldly watched him anxiously search for the collar for an entire afternoon. She picked up the collar with her red-painted nails and mercilessly mocked him. An animal that follows whoever feeds it won't stay by your side just because you fed it a few more bites. A few months later, he saw the corpse of that little cat on the roadside, reportedly poisoned by someone who had grown tired of it. He looked at the small body and felt no pity. It was just the consequence of greed. And Song Xining was like that stray cat, everywhere, trying to please everyone, unable to choose one path. Zhou Tingyue was curious about the fate of this cat. Luring Zhou Tingyue was just a bet, as Song Xining never forgot that capturing Lin Yu was her primary goal. As Lin Yu's birthday approached, Song Xining fretted over choosing a birthday gift, neglecting her pursuit of the lofty figure in the Zhou family for half a month. The birthday banquet happened to fall on the day of the beginning of winter. Her mother held up a crimson backless gown in front of Song Xining, saying, "Your complexion and features suit vibrant colors like mine. Wear this dress, and you'll surely win over the Lin family's young master tonight." Although Song Xining always felt her mother pursued ostentation to the detriment of taste, she couldn't deny that the dress was exceptionally flattering on her. Unfortunately, Song Xining knew very well that the reason Lin Yu had a special affection for her was because she resembled his Baiwe. Elegant, dignified, serene, the talented piano prodigy of Ningqing, Wan Ning. They had been childhood friends, but unfortunately, when Ning encountered a plane crash while performing abroad and never returned to Lin Yu's side. If Song Xining wanted to emulate Baiwe, she couldn't wear such bold colors. She shook her head, wanting to change into the light blue dress she had prepared a few days ago, but she couldn't find it in her wardrobe. "Don't bother looking, I gave it away." Shuang seemed oblivious to her daughter's changed expression and advised earnestly, "I've always told you that you need to maximize your advantages to capture a man's heart. Dressing so plainly all the time wastes your beauty and figure. How will you climb up to the Lin family?" Fuming with anger, Song Xining couldn't hold back a cold smile. "If you've captured a man's heart, why do you keep sending away other women every now and then?" "You." Shuang's eyes turned red in an instant, her thin face drained of color, turning pale. Seeing her mother like this, Song Xining regretted hitting her sore spot and lowered her eyes, apologizing softly. Shuang pursed her lips but didn't say anything. She just set the red dress aside and walked away. "Mom," Song Xining suddenly asked her softly, "do you regret it?" She had seen it. In the depths of her mother's drawer, there was a book with a young couple on the cover, dressed plainly. Shuang had a sweet smile on her face, while the man beside her gazed at her, only at her. That man wasn't her father.
Nieszłan admired vanity.
After gaining the favor of her superiors, she kicked away her first love. From a small-town girl, she leaped to become the mistress of a small business in Ningqing. Although the Song family wasn't considered a prominent family in Ningqing, they had enough to live comfortably for 3 lifetimes. Yet, she still felt it wasn't enough. From a young age, she told her daughter that to climb up in society, the fastest way for a woman was through love. Love filled with layers of disguise and cunning. In the end, Song Xining could only put on that crimson gown. As expected, Lin Yu, upon seeing her, subtly revealed a hint of disappointment in his gentle eyes. She pretended not to notice and still smiled as she presented the gift. Perhaps due to the unpleasant encounter with her mother before leaving, Song Xining lost some of her enthusiasm for being Lin Yu's stand-in. After exchanging a few pleasantries with Lin Yu, she sat in a corner with her wine, gazing out the window. It was then that she noticed the snowfall outside, sparse yet beautiful. Song Xining stood up and went to the terrace, only to encounter someone smoking there. She paused for a moment, remembering what she had in her handbag, and suddenly smiled. Zhou Tingyue heard the movement at the door and turned to see Song Xining. He raised his eyebrows nonchalantly. Dressed in a colorful gown that exposed large patches of snow-white skin against the backdrop of extreme red and white, he suddenly realized that Song Xining wasn't just about a dignified appearance. Especially those eyes, watery and charming, both captivating and dangerous. He saw her take out a pair of exquisitely packaged new cufflinks from her handbag, saying they were a gift for little Lin. But Zhou Tingyue didn't accept them. He remembered that just now, Song Xining had also held a gift, standing in front of Lin Yu with a gentle smile. At that time, he had stood a bit far away and only saw her profile, but now he suddenly imagined, when Song Xining affectionately called out Ayu, were her eyes also like this, carrying a hook to captivate people's hearts? Zhou Tingyue's voice no longer carried its usual warmth, even tinged with some sarcasm. Does Lin Yu know that you're playing him off against others like this? Song Xining's face instantly turned ugly. While you're stringing him along, how many others have you tried to seduce like me? She listened, feeling both angry and embarrassed, experiencing such humiliation for the first time. Coupled with the effects of alcohol, she couldn't suppress her anger and let out a cold laugh. As the snow fell heavier, Song Xining slowly approached Zhou Tingyue. Her pointed chin lifted, revealing a sharp expression for the first time, like a spirit in the mountains, shedding the human facade and revealing the fox's claws. Her eyes lifted slightly, and she asked softly, "Is this how little Lin insults people?" Even though she felt angry and humiliated, Song Xining's inherent nature of wanting to seduce people remained unchanged. At this moment, she sounded indignant, but she still attempted to conceal the hook. "I admit that I deliberately approached you, but is it wrong for me to have feelings for you?" Zhou Tingyue lowered his head, clearly seeing a flurry of snowflakes fall into her parted red lips, melting instantly on her rosy tongue. His body inexplicably stiffened. Is it worthy of such humiliation for harboring feelings and wanting to get close to someone? He heard her softly questioning, frowning as he tried to push her away, but the seemingly harmless fox in front of him suddenly tore off her disguise, stood on tiptoe, grabbed his shoulders, and kissed his lips. Before he could react, she fiercely bit down and quickly retreated. Song Xining. For the first time, Zhou Tingyue felt someone taking advantage of him like this. He was about to explode in anger, but something was thrown at him. Song Xining hurriedly explained, "This is something I owe you. If little Lin doesn't like it, just throw it away yourself. After all, you disdain people's feelings like this, don't you?" She finished speaking and ran away in a panic, leaving Zhou Tingyue with a darkened face in place. Wiping away the blood from his lips, cold from the snow, yet extraordinarily soft, burned with anger and resentment that Zhou Tingyue had never experienced before. He closed his eyes, using the coldness of the heavy snow to calm himself down. The box containing the cufflinks had rolled away somewhere, but the scent and the aroma of alcohol from the person lingered in the air, lingering around his nose. After kissing Zhou Tingyue and making her escape, Song Xining avoided attending any banquet or event for nearly half a month, even taking leave from the piano performances at the theater. That day, under the influence of alcohol, thinking that she couldn't win over Zhou Tingyue anyway, she decided to act recklessly. She used the cufflinks she had received as a gift when she bought a present for Lin Yu to mock and humiliate Zhou Tingyue. But now, looking back, she deeply regretted her actions. After panicking for a while, Song Xining calmed down again. Since Zhou Tingyue looked down on her so much, he would naturally regard that kiss as a great humiliation and would not let this matter leak out. After realizing this, she resumed her performance activities. After the performance ended, Song Xining scanned the audience with her thanks, but she didn't see Lin Yu in his usual seat. Instead, Zhou Tingyue sat quietly in the center of the front row, watching her silently amidst the applause from the audience. Song Xining didn't expect to see Zhou Tingyue here. She suddenly felt nervous and sat in the lounge for a long time without moving, until there was a knock on the door. Song Xining almost jumped up. She had a strange intuition and sat on the sofa without moving. Sure enough, the voice outside the door sounded a bit impatient. Song Xining. Song Xining stiffened, knowing that Zhou Tingyue was only showing the last bit of courtesy from his upbringing. She could only take a deep breath and stand up to open the door. Zhou Tingyue's eyes were half-lidded, staring at her with a heavy gaze. He didn't know why he came here. Zhou Tingyue hadn't been sleeping well these days. In his dreams, there was always that cat from his childhood, licking his hand. He would impatiently pull his hand back, only to have the cat suddenly transform into Song Xining. She was clinging to him in the falling snow, pressing her lips against his, whispering in grievance, "Is it wrong for me to have feelings for you?" The fragmented and chaotic scenes in his dreams left him in a messy state when he woke up. Zhou Tingyue looked at the person sitting on the other end of the sofa. She was wearing a white satin fishtail dress today, accentuating her good figure to the extreme. However, her makeup was light and elegant, giving her an aura of purity and nobility. His gaze moved away from her moist and plump lips, shifting to her eyes that were trying hard to suppress guilt. He couldn't help but find it somewhat amusing. "Are you afraid of me?" Song Xining was indeed afraid at first, but when she heard his question, she inexplicably became sarcastic. In a soft voice, she replied, "Afraid? How could it be fear? It's obviously sadness, heartache." Zhou Tingyue raised an eyebrow, looking at her with a smile that wasn't a smile. Song Xining could see the mockery in his eyes and felt annoyed. Did this guy come here just to mock her on purpose? Her tone turned cold. "Rest assured, I know Lin Yu doesn't like me. I'll have the self-awareness not to pursue him in the future." With that, she stood up and walked away. However, her arm was pulled back, and she was pressed back into the sofa. Song Xining angrily tried to push his hand away, but it annoyed Zhou Tingyue. He stood up and raised both her hands, pressing them against her head. Zhou Tingyue's voice was deep. "I haven't said anything yet. Why are you so angry?" Song Xining turned her head away, her eyes reddening with anger. "What does Zhou Tingyue want to say? It's nothing more than accusing me of being fickle, shameless, and delusional." Zhou Tingyue almost leaned over her, and she breathed heavily. Her eyes were bright red with anger. His gaze darkened slightly, as if he had been scalded, and he let go of her hands. As he stepped back, Song Xining wanted to leave again. "I was too harsh with my words." This statement already carried a sense of concession. Song Xining stopped in surprise and looked at him incredulously. He held her hand and repeated somewhat helplessly, "I went too far that day, but you've also vented your anger. Let's call it even." Song Xining hesitated. "Did I vent my anger?" Zhou Tingyue smiled faintly. "Wasn't biting me enough?" Song Xining, upon hearing this, looked at his lips. She was someone who would take advantage of any opportunity. Seeing Zhou Tingyue brush off what happened that day, she suddenly dared to be provocative again. Song Xining crouched down and gently leaned on his knees. She felt him stiffen, but he didn't move away. Her smile became more intense, her eyes fixed on his. Of course not. How could kissing Tingyue be enough? Her tone was flirtatious, and her eyes were full of charm. Zhou Tingyue's breathing became heavier, and he looked down at her. After a while, he lifted her chin and asked softly, "Have you said such things to others as well?" She smiled. I only want Tingyue Ji. He chuckled meaningfully. Do you really only want me? The woman nodded obediently on his knees. Zhou Tingyue's thumb pressed lightly against her red lips, sometimes gentle, sometimes firm. He knew these lips were used to sweet words, but at this moment, he truly felt a strange pleasure. Zhou Tingyue watched as she tentatively leaned closer to him. This time, his hand gently rested on her waist, indulging her recklessness. People can be very strange sometimes. Initially, Zhou Tingyue always felt that Song Xining was hypocritical and greedy, with too many ulterior motives. But now that he considered her his possession, he found her more pleasing to the eye. Even when Song Xining jokingly tested whether he was willing to marry her, Zhou Tingyue surprisingly didn't resist much. However, the Zhou family always valued the benefits of marriage alliances, so getting them to accept Song Xining might be troublesome. Zhou Tingyue looked at the pair of cufflinks he had picked up and wondered if Song Xining was worth all this effort. He knew there were many people outside who wanted to feed this cat, and the way Lin Yu looked at her displeased Zhou Tingyue greatly. When Song Xining pretended to be like Lin Yu's deceased sweetheart, Zhou Tingyue couldn't help but scold her a few times, telling her that Lin Yu was not a good man. Song Xining smiled and asked, "Is Tingyue Ji my sweetheart?" Zhou Tingyue reached out and played with her hair. "If you behave." As he looked at the cufflinks in her eyes, he saw a trace of laughter in them. His long fingers urged her lips, teasingly. She leaned in obediently, and Zhou Tingyue eagerly deepened the kiss. He couldn't help but think how well-behaved his little cat was. If only time could stop here. Zhou Tingyue felt ridiculous. He had only been on a business trip abroad for 10 days, and when he returned to Ningqing, he heard the news that Lin Yu was going to engage Song Xining. In the early hours of the morning, he was in Song Xining's dark little apartment, watching her shyly let Lin Yu lightly kiss her lips and hearing her hum a tune as she opened the door. At the moment when she turned on the light, he saw all her joy disappear. Song Xining pretended to be calm. "When did you return to Ningqing?" "An hour ago." "Why did you come so late? Don't you want to rest?" Zhou Tingyue saw that Song Xining always stood far away from him, and he chuckled lightly. "I heard something, not sure if I should believe it, so I came to hear it from you." Song Xining brought out a pre-prepared excuse. "What do you want to hear? Have you ever truly liked me? You've only seen me as a mere canary, haven't you?" Even now, she hadn't spoken a single truth. Zhou Tingyue remembered the shopping receipt he accidentally found between the sofa cushions while waiting for her, with the word gift on it, making her lies seem even more ridiculous. From start to finish, she hadn't given a penny of sincerity, yet he had still been willing to have her. Even yesterday, he had taken time out of various meetings to meet with a renowned foreign wedding dress designer, wanting to give her a surprise. "Deceiver," he said with a faint smile, so faint that Song Xining thought it was an illusion. "What you wanted was never genuine. It was a change in status, a leap in class. Love was just a means for her to climb higher." When she felt she couldn't achieve her goals with him, she chose Lin Yu without hesitation. "No." Zhou Tingyue remembered the receipt again, and his eyes turned cold. The high branch that Song Xining wanted to climb was never him. "See that?" The engagement banquet was chaotic, and Zhou Tingyue leaned close to her ear, his voice cold. "A stand-in is always just a stand-in. As long as there's someone who looks more like Wen Ning, Lin Yu will not hesitate to abandon you, because he doesn't love you." Song Xining's mind went blank. She didn't know how Zhou Tingyue had managed to get her out of there. When she came to her senses, she was no longer in her moon-white dress. She was sitting in his business car, with one hand tightly held by him. Looking at his calm profile, she stated somewhat resignedly, "That woman was brought by you." Zhou Tingyue raised an eyebrow, not denying it. In fact, that woman didn't originally look very much like Wen Ning, not even as much as Song Xining did. He had simply paid a considerable sum to convince her to have her face altered to resemble the woman in the photo. A few months was not enough time for her face to look entirely natural, but Zhou Tingyue knew Lin Yu well enough. Just a glance of extreme resemblance would be enough to ruin this engagement banquet. Song Xining found it incomprehensible. "You deliberately sabotaged the engagement banquet just to retaliate against me and make me the laughingstock of Ningqing?" Zhou Tingyue frowned. as if disapproving of her lack of intelligence. As I said, if you want to climb high, you can only climb my branch. Just like the fate of that wild cat that ate indiscriminately and was poisoned to death, Song Xining had made a fool of herself at the engagement banquet, and it was all her own doing. You said you only wanted me. His voice was very soft, tinged with a hint of coldness. So for the rest of your life, unless you die, you can only be by my side. Song Xining realized too late that she had provoked the wrong person. Why? She tried to steady her trembling voice. Zhou Tingyue, do you love me? She asked knowingly, not believing Zhou Tingyue loved her. It was just possessiveness at play, and he was unwilling to be played by her. She just wanted him to be clear that he didn't love her, so it wasn't worth wasting so much energy to bind her to him. But Zhou Tingyue looked down and thought for a moment before asking, what does love feel like? Song Xining was speechless. Song Xining, he suddenly reached out and pressed her lips, his voice very light, but carrying an irresistible meaning. Let me experience the taste of love. Song Xining was afraid and angry again. What if I don't want to? Zhou Tingyue remained silent. At this moment, the business car stopped in front of a high-rise building. Song Xining recognized it at a glance. It was the Ocean View Tower, the highest sea view flat in Ningqing, and it was so rare that even with money, it was hard to come by. Zhou Tingyue took her into the elevator and pressed the button for the top floor. When the elevator doors opened, there was a sturdy, stern-faced woman in black waiting. Mr. Zhou, Miss Song. Zhou Tingyue nodded and glanced at Song Xining. Then he answered her question. Ningning, my affection is the only way out for you from here. If you satisfy me, I will naturally be willing to come to see you, spoil you, and give you a certain amount of freedom. Conversely, if you annoy me, you'll be left to fend for yourself here, whether suffering or struggling, or flying out of that window. He chuckled lightly, as if he knew she would inevitably be afraid of death. Seeing her eyes red and trembling slightly, Zhou Tingyue soothingly touched the back of her head and leaned down to lightly kiss her forehead. Do you understand? You're now nothing but a canary. Song Xining didn't know what the current situation was between the Lin family and the Song family. Zhou Tingyue took her phone and simply said that they were all fine, impatient with any further questions from her. Since you said you only want me, stop pretending to care about other people. She had no choice but to try to please Zhou Tingyue. And indeed, he kept his word. As long as she behaved obediently, he was often willing to take her shopping, dining, and to attend fireworks displays with her. Even when he wasn't busy, he would deliberately take her abroad to watch fashion shows. However, he never took her to any of the upper-class social circles in Ningqing. I heard Lin Yu quickly got rid of that woman and even went to the Song family to apologize, hoping you would give him another chance. Zhou Tingyue smirked, his big hand kneading her neck as if she were a cat. Ningning, what do you think? What did she think? Song Xining just felt annoyed. He was both imprisoning and threatening her, and now he was hypocritically asking her opinion. Why don't you find another stand-in and send her to him? Her tone was impatient and indifferent, but it seemed to please Zhou Tingyue, who said he could reward her with one condition. Song Xining thought for a moment, then put on a smile and leaned on his shoulder. My birthday is coming up. Zhou Tingyue absent-mindedly ran his fingers through her slightly curled black hair. I want a grand birthday banquet, and I want you to stand by my side in front of everyone. Her eyes curved into crescents as she pecked lightly at his chin. I want to show off to everyone that you belong to me. Zhou Tingyue chuckled and lifted her face to look into her eyes. After a while, he whispered softly, Okay. Song Xining was stunned. She didn't expect him to agree, and suddenly felt a mix of emotions. The birthday banquet turned out to be even more lively than she imagined. The Song family, the Lin family, and everyone who had attended the engagement banquet, almost all the notable figures in Ningqing were there. There was much discussion among the guests. Some marveled at how capable Song Xining was, saying she hadn't climbed into the Lin family, but had managed to climb into the Zhou family. Others watched the lively interaction between Zhou Tingyue and Lin Yu, noting that the former had one half a lifetime over the latter, but still took the woman abandoned by Lin Yu at the engagement banquet. Lin Yu's face was equally dark, But the Song family seemed very calm, as if they had known all along that their daughter was with Zhou Tingyue. Halfway through the banquet, someone from the Zhou family arrived. In the lounge, an elderly man in his 60s was furious. "This is outrageous. You can keep a woman for your own pleasure, I don't care. But causing such a big uproar, which family's daughter would still be willing to marry you?" Zhou Tingyue held Song Xining's hand calmly and said, "I didn't plan to marry her either." Mr. Zhou was furious. "You still want to marry her into the family?" Song Xining's heart trembled, and she couldn't help but look at Zhou Tingyue. He tilted his head slightly, as if he wanted to look at her, but then didn't turn around. He just tightened his grip on her hand. "Yes." Song Xining looked at the wound on Zhou Tingyue's forehead, feeling conflicted. The old man angrily knocked over the ashtray, scattering glass shards everywhere, but Zhou Tingyue still protected her in his arms. She asked in confusion, "Why? Isn't this what you wanted?" Zhou Tingyue remained calm and composed. "To tell everyone that I've kept Lin Yu's abandoned fiancé, so the joke in Ning City is no longer about you, but about me." Song Xining bit her lip, her voice choked. "But you." "I don't care," he interrupted her and pressed his finger against her lips to silence her. "No matter what people say behind our backs, no one dares to speak a word against me in front of my face. And Lin Yu, who can oppose the Zhou family, won't do anything for you." He spoke bluntly, and Song Xining couldn't help but glare at him with annoyance. Zhou Tingyue pinched her cheek, warning her, "Song Xining, don't be too greedy." Though seething with jealousy inside, Song Xining dared not speak her mind. She only asked suspiciously, "Do you really intend to marry me?" Zhou Tingyue didn't respond. The wedding dress designs sent by the designers a few days ago reminded him of his own wishful thinking, which still lingered in his heart. "Xiaoning, you still owe me something." Song Xining didn't know what he meant, and Zhou Tingyue didn't explain. He simply let her figure it out on her own. Grumbling inwardly, Song Xining felt annoyed by his theatrics. She began to send Zhou Tingyue gifts every day, from watches and ties to homemade desserts, even attempting to fold origami stars and write love letters like a young couple. As Song Xining unfolded the paper stars, a certain man's smile was almost uncontrollable, yet his words remained the same. "Think carefully, Ning Ning." In the blink of an eye, half of winter had passed, and only a few days were left in December. Old Mr. Zhou's health was deteriorating, planning to formally hand over before the new year. The atmosphere in the entire Zhou company was heavy, but Zhou Tingyue remained calm and composed, focusing on what gifts Song Xining had sent him each day. Song Xining wandered alone in the shopping mall, unknowingly arriving at the place where she had bought Lin Yu's birthday gift last year. When she returned to the parking lot with her shopping bags, someone called out to her, "Xiaoning." Since the birthday party, it was the first time she had seen Lin Yu. He still maintained his gentle and polite demeanor, as if nothing had happened. "I'm here to pick you up." Song Xining furrowed her brows. Lin Yu calmly explained, "Zhou Tingyue's biological mother caused a scene at the Zhou company board meeting, claiming that Zhou Tingyue is not the child of the Zhou family. Zhou Tingyue is in an embarrassing situation now and can't spare a thought for you. Xiaoning, let me take you away." Song Xining was puzzled. "What do you mean?" "His biological mother. See for yourself." Lin Yu took out his phone and showed her a video clip. The video was somewhat shaky, as if taken from a hidden angle. The woman was elegantly dressed, but her facial expression was slightly twisted. Her voice was sharp, filled with resentment. "Sun Cheng, you used me to advance your career, giving me to Zhou Wanga as a gift, thinking you could rise to the top. But you never expected. The child I carried in my womb doesn't belong to the Zhou family at all. Haha, Zhou Wanga, you old fool. How does it feel to raise someone else's child? If I hadn't reminded you, you would have given away the Zhou family, right? Sun Cheng, tell me, how will the Zhou family deal with you now?" The man called Sun Cheng slapped the woman across the face, then grabbed her by the neck, furious. "You lunatic. Regardless, isn't he still your son? What benefit do you get from causing such a scene?" "My son." The woman's voice was hoarse. "His biological father betrayed me. His supposed father raped me. He's like proof of how shameful my life has been. I hate you all so much. I hate him as much as I hate you." The conference room was chaotic, but in the corner of the screen, Zhou Tingyue remained silent, as if the whole drama had nothing to do with him. Song Xining tightly gripped her phone, feeling like her chest was about to explode. She didn't know what was happening to her, but she felt terrible. She recalled the earnest and calm expression Zhou Tingyue had when he asked her to let him experience the taste of love, and bitterness filled her throat. They said he was the pride of heaven, but in reality, no one had ever loved him. Xiaoning. Seeing Song Xining's eyes reddened with tears, Linyu felt somewhat uneasy as he grabbed her arm. Xiaoning, I know I was foolish at the engagement banquet and hurt you. But do you know, that woman was brought by Zhou Tingyue, he deliberately. Linyu's words were suddenly interrupted. Song Xining. A figure stood not far away, appearing out of nowhere. He stood alone in the empty space, looking particularly lonely under the dim light of the parking lot. Song Xining, come here. There was a gentle curve on Zhou Tingyue's lips, but his eyes were hollow and desolate. Song Xining didn't move. Linyu took a few steps closer and comforted her in a low voice. Xiaoning, you don't need to be afraid. Zhou Tingyue has been expelled from the Zhou family. He can't trouble you anymore. Come back with me. I will make it up to you with an even bigger engagement. No, let's get married directly. This time, I will never leave you. The curve at the corner of Zhou Tingyue's lips gradually faded, and his cold gaze fell on her. Song Xining lowered her eyes, not looking at Zhou Tingyue or Linyu, and sighed softly. Linyu, every time you call me Xiaoning, which Ning do you mean? Linyu's grip on her arm loosened involuntarily. Understandingly, she smiled and continued, but every time I call you Ayu, it's an imitation of Wen Ning. Linyu's pupils contracted, looking at the person in front of him somewhat incredulously. A long time ago, I accidentally saw a photo of you and Wen Ning. Every angle, tone, and expression that resembles her was my deliberate means of getting closer to you. With a gentle push, she effortlessly pushed away Linyu's hand. Song Xining looked up at his pale and shocked face. In fact, I'm nothing like her. I'm vulgar and greedy, willing to do anything to climb the social ladder. She learned the piano because she loved it, while I learned it just for vanity, as a means to approach the upper class. Linyu moved his lips, finally managing to ask with difficulty, if that's the case, why are you telling me the truth now? He glanced at the man not far away. Have you fallen in love with Zhou Tingyue? Zhou Tingyue also looked at her. Song Xining shook her head, seeing the darkness in his eyes once again, and said softly, I don't know how to love someone. Since I was young, my mother only taught me how to please others, how to use fake affection to gain benefits. She abandoned love herself and never taught me how to truly love someone. At this point, Song Xining found it somewhat amusing. Zhou Tingyue had never experienced love, yet the only person he sought couldn't understand love either. I resent him for seeing through my despicability at a glance, blame him for restricting my freedom, and am determined to bring him down from his pedestal into the mud. But now, seeing him truly stripped of all his glory, standing there alone, she felt a burning rage with nowhere to vent, causing her heart to ache. Now, all I want is to hug him. Song Xining finally walked towards Zhou Tingyue. Zhou Tingyue looked at her eyes, red and swollen, feeling a strange sourness in his chest. He lifted his hand and brushed her eye corner, his voice hoarse. Why are you crying? Song Xining glared at him fiercely, but tears still streamed down her face. She took out a velvet box from her shopping bag and opened it, revealing a pair of exquisite maple leaf-shaped cufflinks. You know now, right? Song Xining put the cufflinks on his empty cuffs, tears dripping onto his clothes. You looked down on me first, and I thought you wouldn't want anything from me, so I didn't want to waste money. Listening to her full-throated grievances, Zhou Tingyue helplessly said, Yeah, you're not wrong. He added, Ning, I have indeed been expelled from the Zhou family. Zhou Tingyue lowered his head to look at her, seemingly giving her a chance to change her mind. Song Xining didn't say anything, just encircled his waist and nestled herself into his arms. Zhou Tingyue reflexively tightened his grip around her. Linyu had left at some point. Zhou Tingyue lifted Song Xining, carried her to his car, and casually asked her, Why didn't you choose Linyu? I saw my mother go to see that man, the man in the photo. Strictly speaking, her mother was just hiding in the distance, quietly observing him. That man now ran a small fruit shop, already married with children, living an extremely ordinary and mundane life. But Song Xining could see the longing and pain in Nie Shuang's eyes. She abandoned the person who truly loved her, yet envied the ordinary life that rightfully belonged to her amidst wealth and luxury. She refused to admit her regrets, repeatedly telling me that love was useless and profit was paramount, but she was actually trying to convince herself. Marrying Lin Yu, Song Xining would become the second Nie Shuang. She couldn't help but look up at Zhou Tingyue, feeling a sense of admiration. After disguising herself for more than 20 years, the only one who saw through her, but still willing to love her, was the one she once thought was beyond reach. Song Xining suddenly became curious. If I really went with Lin Yu, what would you do? Zhou Tingyue smiled, leaning down to her, his cold words drowned in the entanglement of their lips. Ningning, you are mine. You can't escape for the rest of your life. Extra. Not long after the new year, in early March, there was turmoil in the political circles of Ningqing. Top figures were reshuffled, and this had a ripple effect on the Zhou and Lin families. Especially after the scandal that occurred before the new year, the management of the Zhou family was in turmoil. The eldest son who took over the Zhou family was mediocre in ability, and the Zhou family gradually fell behind the Lin family. A newly established company named Shijian, which had recently entered the market in Hongqing a few years ago, took advantage of the situation. In less than a year, its momentum had surpassed that of the Zhou family and was on par with the Lin family. While the entire business community was abuzz with discussions, Lin Yu received a wedding invitation sent in the name of the chairman of Shijian. The names of the newlyweds were very familiar, Zhou Tingyue and Song Xining. It was a grand wedding. Lin Yu looked at the bride in her fishtail wedding gown, smiling with her eyes curved, and remembered when she had once stood by his side in a pure white dress. But at that time, she was always reserved. Even the curve of her smile was gentle and serene. Unlike now, with the sharpness and pride on her face, her eyes were bright and cunning. She really didn't look anything like Wen Ning. Meanwhile, not far away, Song Xining was quietly complaining to Zhou Tingyue. Why is getting married so exhausting? Zhou Tingyue chuckled, who said, we had to show off the identity of the wife of the chairman of Shijian to the entire Ningqing, and who said we couldn't skip any part of the wedding and had to do each one to perfection. Despite his teasing, his big hand was still resting on her lower back, gently rubbing. How about we skip the toasting and go rest? Zhou Tingyue suggested. No way. We have to make those who mocked us behind our backs have to nod and bow to us again and compliment us.